Hey, how's it going? It's July 24th, 2022. This is your daily sweet talk. So, I've talked about IMDb before, and I'm going to talk about it again. I talked about IMDb, I've talked about what the weird stuff they're doing on the site now, and how that's affecting the site now. But I want to talk about not the current or future of IMDb, but the past. My history with this site, because I frequent it, and I've frequented it for a long time, like since I was a kid. I would, and I still just basically use the site just to browse and like find movies I haven't heard of before. But what I would used to do is I would find like upcoming movies through mainly through like I would look at this used to be it used to be a thing where you could, on the page for a movie, it would say the year, and it still does, but you could click on the year and it would list every movie that came out that year. So if you found an upcoming movie, like say one that came out the next year or the year after that or the year after that, then which you could find through like I don't know, a director's page or an actor's page or whatever, and there'd always be these weird well, whatever. You could find the you all the movies listed for that year. And I was a kid. I don't know how IMDb works. I would assume all the information on the site is accurate. Like these are all real movies that are gonna come out. But I would browse the lists, and I wouldn't like add these movies to my watch list because I didn't have an IMDb account. This is similar to when I started using YouTube. I would just write down in my notebook, like for YouTube I would write down like channels that I want to check regularly to see if there's any new uploads, because I didn't have an account and I wouldn't just subscribe to them. Not because I couldn't make an account, but because I just didn't bother because I don't know how to. I'm a kid. I don't know how to sign up for things. I need my parents' permission before going online. And with IMDb, it was the same thing. I would go through these lists of movies, and I would be like, "That sounds interesting. Let me write that down to watch later." I think I wouldn't write it down in a notebook. For that one, I think I wrote down in like a Windows doc or something. I would keep a few weird Windows docs like that, just listing things. I remember one time I had a Windows doc that just like listed every television show, or like 100 television shows. It was supposed to be my top 100 television shows, but it was just me trying to think of 100 television shows, and then sort of ranking them. So there would be stuff like not 1,000 Ways to Die, but like, for example, something like that, or Fear Factor. I don't know, like just, oh, that's a show. I think, I guess that this is how I feel about that show in the ranking of 100. I remember American Dad was near the bottom for some reason. Like I think below Family Guy. American Dad's better than Family Guy. I wouldn't know that as a kid. I think American Dad's better than Family Guy now. Anyway, but for example, like American Dad the movie would be the type of movie that you'd find on one of these lists of movies like upcoming, like in the year 2009 they're gonna make American Dad the movie. I don't even, was American Dad even out yet at that point? But this is back how long ago it was. They'd be like, oh yeah, 2009 movie. National Treasure 3 coming up, and I'm like, oh, let me write that down. I gotta watch that. None of these movies came out. They weren't all just made up. Some of them were based on. Some of them were like projects that were in development. But I don't know about it. And I'm just like, ooh, this is a movie that's coming up. IMDb, this is the movie database, so every movie on here is real. Let me write that down so that I'll remember to watch it, I guess. And that's not that different than how I use the site now, because now I don't go through lists of years, but I'll just like go down rabbit holes of like, I'll watch a trailer and then that takes me to another trailer, and then I'll just add a bunch of movies to my watch list that I'm never gonna get around to watching. So, not that different.